All right, let's do a little time traveling. We're going back to 1978, a world with no iPhones, no internet, to dig into the timeless wisdom packed inside one single powerful document, Warren Buffett's letter to his shareholders. I mean, right from the get-go, Buffett just lays it all out there. Forget the crystal balls, forget trying to time the market. He's telling us that's not the game we're playing. The whole thing is built on this deep, unwavering belief in the long-term value of the businesses you actually own. Seriously, this one idea, it's the bedrock for everything else.
So yeah, think of this as a masterclass. We're going to peel back the layers of this letter, really deconstruct it to get at the core principles that were already turning Berkshire Hathaway into an absolute giant. And this is way before Buffett became the household name we know today. This is where the real magic was starting to happen.
So we've boiled his wisdom down into 4 main lessons. First, we'll talk about truth in accounting, seeing what's really going on behind the numbers. Then we'll get into spotting the difference between tough versus great businesses. After that, we are opening up the value investor's playbook. And finally, we'll get to what might be the most important part, betting on the manager. Okay, let's dive right into lesson 1, truth in accounting. Now, you might think, accounting? Kinda dry, right? But Buffett starts his letter here for a really good reason. He knew that the official numbers, the stuff you file with the SEC, can sometimes hide what's really going on inside a business.
You have to remember, by 1978, Berkshire was it was this complex web of companies he owned outright and others he only owned a piece of. You had insurance, textiles, candy, newspapers, all kind of smushed together into one big financial report. And Buffett himself said that this kind of reporting, quote, tends to obscure economic reality more than illuminate it.
And that phrase right there, economic reality, that is everything. For Buffett, the whole game was about understanding how each individual piece of the puzzle was actually performing, on its own. He didn't really care about the messy final number on the report. He wanted to know the true underlying financial health of each part of his growing empire. So that brings us right to lesson 2, telling the difference between a tough business and a great one. Because once you can see that economic reality, you start to realize, man, not all businesses are created equal. Some are just fundamentally built better than others.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you've got the textile business. It's a total grind, right? It just eats up capital. You're making products that are hard to differentiate. And like Buffett wrote, you get inadequate returns on capital. It's a tough slog. But then you look at the other side, insurance. Whoa, it was like an engine that just churned out huge amounts of cash for him to invest. It offered, in his words, exceptional rewards for success. And this number, this just drives the point home. $11 million. That was the underwriting profit from just one part of his insurance operations in 1978. It wasn't just a business, it was a cash-generating machine that basically fueled everything else. Now that is what a great business looks like.
One of the great things about Buffett is how brutally honest he is, especially about his mistakes. This quote about the textile business, it just shows his humility and his obsession with learning. He knew he was stuck in a tough game, and he made it a core part of his philosophy to never, ever make that same mistake again. Okay, so you know how to spot a great business, but how do you actually go out and buy them? Well, that leads us to lesson 3, the value investor's playbook. This is really the heart of the whole Buffett method. And he lays out these 4 rules that are just beautifully simple. First, do you actually understand the business? Second, does it have a great future, long term? Third, is it run by people you can trust, people who are honest and good at their job? And fourth, and this is the one that takes all the discipline, is the price really, really attractive? And here's the proof in the pudding. Just look at Berkshire's actual portfolio back in 1978. He bought the Washington Post Company for about $10.6 million. By the end of that same year, it was worth over $43 million. I mean, come on, that wasn't luck. That was the playbook executed perfectly. He found an amazing business run by great people at a price that was just too good to pass up. And just look at this chart. It really puts it in perspective, doesn't it? He was essentially buying dollar bills for pennies, and he was doing it by sticking to his 4 simple rules at a time when, as he points out in the letter, most of the so-called professional money managers were running for the hills, scared of the stock market. This right here, this is such a powerful insight. Buffett saw this huge disconnect in the world. He saw big corporations going out and paying massive premiums to buy entire, often mediocre companies. Meanwhile, he could go into the stock market and buy little pieces of excellent companies at what he called greatly discounted valuations. The public market was his personal bargain bin. And that all led to this really powerful conclusion. He realized he didn't need to own 100% of a company. Why bother? It was actually better to own a small, passive slice of a brilliantly run business like Safeco, which he called the best in the business, than it was to own and control a mediocre one. The big takeaway here, quality beats control every time. And this idea of quality brings us to our final and, maybe the most important lesson of all, betting on the manager. For Buffett, business was never just a spreadsheet. It was, and it still is, all about the people. He actually goes out of his way in the letter to name his star managers. And look at this list. You've got Gene Abegg at 81 years old, Ben Rosner at 75. He wasn't out there trying to find the hotshot MBA grad. He was looking for people who had a lifetime of passion and dedication poured into their work. And this quote, this is the secret sauce right here. Think like owners. That's it. That's what he valued above everything else. He wanted people who didn't see it as just a 9-to-5 job, but as their business. People who had what he called a passionately proprietary attitude. So the really crucial thing to understand is that his entire empire was built on a foundation of trust. He trusted these incredible people to do the right thing. He wasn't just buying buildings and inventory, he was partnering with people who had that owner's mindset. And that right there was his ultimate competitive advantage. So let's wrap it all up. The 1978 blueprint. It's pretty straightforward, right? Look for the real economic story, not the accounting fiction. Buy great businesses and just avoid the tough ones. Be patient and disciplined enough to pay an attractive price. And above all, partner with managers who think and act like they own the place. It's a really simple, powerful philosophy. But it leaves us with a huge question for today, doesn't it? In our world of algorithms, crypto, and meme stocks, does this patient, logical, people-first approach from 1978 still hold up? Is it still the blueprint for building real, lasting value? Definitely something to think about.
Before you go, one quick thing. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel. We're building a community of people who want to think differently about money, investing, and financial freedom.